The clock on the wall of Tony's diner showed 8:30 when Maya Johnson walked through the front door. She carried her old guitar case in one hand and a small bag with her music sheets in the other. The diner was not fancy. Red plastic seats lined the booths along the windows. The floor was old black and white tiles that had seen better days. But Maya loved this place. It had become her second home over the past 6 months. Tony Russo, the owner, looked up from behind the counter and smiled. He was a big man with gray hair and kind eyes. His family had run this diner for 40 years. When Maya first asked if she could sing here on Friday nights, Tony had said yes without asking for anything in return. He knew Maya needed the money. Maya set up her guitar and small amplifier in the corner near the back booth. She always performed in the same spot. The customers liked it there because they could eat and listen without feeling like they had to pay attention if they did not want to. Maya did not mind. She was not looking for fame. She just needed money for her grandfather's heart surgery. The diner started to fill up with the usual Friday night crowd. There was old Pete Miller, who came in every week for coffee and pie. He always requested the same song. There was Susan Clark, a nurse from the hospital down the street. She worked late shifts and stopped by for dinner before going home. There were young couples on dates and families with kids who wanted ice cream after dinner. Maya tuned her guitar and looked around the room. About 20 people sat at different tables. Not a big crowd, but enough to make her tip jar worthwhile. She took a deep breath and started with a soft song her mother used to sing to her. Her voice was clear and sweet. People slowly stopped talking and turned to listen. In the corner booth by the window sat a man Maya had never seen before. He wore a simple black jacket and jeans. His dark hair was a little messy, and he had a short beard. He looked to be about 40 years old. The man sat alone with just a cup of coffee in front of him. He watched Maya carefully as she sang, but not in a way that made her uncomfortable. He seemed genuinely interested in the music. Maya finished her first song and smiled at the small applause. She put $1 in her tip jar to get things started, then picked up her guitar again. This time she chose something more upbeat. A few people clapped along. The man in the corner booth still watched, but now he was smiling too. During her break, Maya walked around to the different tables. Some people put money in her tip jar. Others just said nice things about her voice. She always thanked everyone personally. Her grandfather had taught her to be polite and grateful for any kindness people showed. The man in the corner booth waved her over when she got close to his table. Maya walked over, wondering what he might want. "That was beautiful," he said. His voice was calm and friendly. "You have a real gift." "Thank you," Maya said. "I appreciate you listening." "I'm Kevin," the man said. "Kevin Martinez." Maya thought the name sounded familiar, but she could not place it. She was too busy with school and work to watch many movies or follow celebrity news. "I'm Maya Johnson," she said. "Nice to meet you." Kevin looked like he was thinking about something. "Can I ask you a question? Why do you sing here?" Maya hesitated. She did not usually talk about her personal life with strangers, but something about Kevin seemed trustworthy. Maybe it was the way he really listened to her music, or the kind expression in his eyes. "My grandfather needs heart surgery," Maya said simply. "It costs a lot of money. I work at a bookstore during the day and go to college, but it's not enough. Singing here helps." Kevin nodded slowly. "What does your grandfather do?" "He's retired now," Maya said. "But he used to work for NASA. He helped design computer systems for space missions. He always says he spent his life trying to talk to the stars." She smiled at the memory. "He's the smartest man I know and the kindest." "He sounds like a good man," Kevin said. "The best," Maya agreed. "He raised me after my parents died in a car accident when I was 12. He never complained even though he was already getting old. He taught me how to play guitar and how to be strong when things get hard." Kevin was quiet for a moment. "How much do you need for the surgery?" Maya felt her cheeks get warm. She did not like talking about money with strangers. "It's a lot. But I'll figure it out. I always do." "I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable," Kevin said quickly. Your story reminds me of someone I used to know, someone who would do anything for family. Maya relaxed a little. It's okay. I should get back to singing. People expect at least an hour of music. Of course, Kevin said. I'll be listening. Maya went back to her corner and picked up her guitar again. For her next song, she chose Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen. It was one of her grandfather's favorites. He said it was a song about finding hope in dark times. Maya had never sung it in public before, but something about tonight felt different. Maybe it was Kevin's attention, or maybe it was just the way the light fell through the diner windows. As Maya sang, her voice filled the small restaurant. Every person in the place stopped what they were doing and listened. Even the cook came, out from the kitchen to hear. The song seemed to touch something deep in everyone who heard it. Maya closed her eyes and sang from her heart, thinking about her grandfather lying in his hospital bed, waiting for a surgery they could barely afford. When the song ended, the diner was completely quiet for several seconds. Then everyone started, clapping. Some people had tears in their eyes. Maya felt tears in her own eyes, too. Kevin was the last person to stop clapping. He looked at Maya with an expression she could not quite read. It was like he had just realized something important, but Maya had no idea what it could be. The rest of the evening passed normally. Maya sang a few more songs, collected her tips, and packed up her guitar. She had made $63, which was more than usual. Every dollar helped, even though the surgery would cost thousands. As Maya prepared to leave, Kevin stood up from his booth and walked over to her. "Thank you for tonight," he said. "Your music is special. Really special." "Thank you for listening," Maya said. Kevin handed her a business card. "If you ever need anything, please call me." Maya looked at the card. It just had Kevin's name and a phone number, no job title or company name. "I will," Maya said, though she doubted she would ever use it. Kevin smiled and walked out into the night. Maya watched him go, still wondering why he seemed so familiar, and why he had been so interested in her story. She had no idea that this chance meeting would change not just her life, but the future of all humanity. Maya stared at the business card for 3 days before she finally decided to call the number. Her grandfather's condition had gotten worse. The doctors said they needed to do the surgery within 2 weeks or it might be too late. Maya had counted her savings 5 times, but the number never changed. She was still thousands of dollars short. She sat in her small apartment and looked at Kevin's card again. Something told her he was different from other people who had promised to help before. Most people said nice things and then forgot about her problems. But Kevin had seemed genuinely concerned. Maya picked up her phone and dialed the number. It rang twice before Kevin answered. "Hello, Maya," Kevin said. "I was hoping you would call." "How did you know it was me?" Maya asked. "I only gave that number to one person this week," Kevin said with a laugh. "How are you doing?" Maya took a deep breath. "Not so good. My grandfather's surgery got moved up. The doctors say it can't wait much longer." "I see," Kevin said quietly. "Where are you right now?" "At home." "Why? Can you meet me somewhere? I'd like to talk to you in person." Maya hesitated. Her grandfather had always taught her to be careful about meeting strangers, but something about Kevin felt safe. "Okay," she said. "Where?" "Do you know the coffee shop on Main Street? The one next to the bookstore?" Maya knew the place well. It was only 2 blocks from where she worked. "Yeah, I know it. Can you be there in an hour?" "Sure," Maya said. An hour later, Maya walked into the coffee shop and saw Kevin sitting at a small table by the window. He looked the same as he had at the diner, but somehow different too. Maya realized he had been trying to look ordinary that night. Now he seemed more relaxed, more like himself. Kevin stood up when he saw her and pulled out a chair. "Thank you for coming." Maya sat down, and Kevin got her a coffee. She noticed a few people in the coffee shop looking at their table, but she thought it was because Kevin was handsome, not because he was famous. "I want to help with your grandfather's surgery," Kevin said without any introduction. Maya almost choked on her coffee. "What?" "I want to pay for it. All of it." "I can't let you do that," Maya said quickly. "You don't even know me." I know enough, Kevin said. I know you're working 3 jobs to take care of someone you love. I know you have a gift that could take you anywhere in the world, but you're staying here because family matters more than fame. I know you're the kind of person who deserves help when they need it. Maya felt tears starting in her eyes. Why would you do this for a stranger? Kevin was quiet for a moment. He looked out the window at the people walking by. When I was your age, someone helped me when I needed it most. They didn't know me either, but they saw something worth saving. It changed my whole life. But this is so much money, Maya said. Money isn't the most important thing in the world, Kevin said. Music like yours is rare. Love like you have for your grandfather is even rarer. Both of those things are worth protecting. Maya wiped her eyes with a tissue. I don't know what to say. Say you'll let me help, Kevin said. And say you'll introduce me to your grandfather. I'd like to meet the man who raised someone like you. Maya looked at Kevin for a long time. She tried to figure out if this was real or if she was dreaming. Are you some kind of millionaire or something? Kevin smiled. Something like that. Does it matter? I guess not, Maya said. But I want to pay you back someday. We'll worry about that later, Kevin said. Right now, let's focus on getting your grandfather the help he needs. The next day, Maya and Kevin went to the hospital together. Maya's grandfather, Frank Johnson, was sitting up in his bed reading a science magazine when they walked in. He was a thin man with white hair and bright blue eyes that seemed to notice everything. Grandpa, this is Kevin, Maya said. He's the one I told you about. Frank looked at Kevin carefully. The man who wants to help with my surgery. Yes, sir, Kevin said. It would be my honor. Frank studied Kevin's face. You look familiar. Have we met before? I don't think so, Kevin said. But I have one of those faces. Frank nodded slowly. Maya tells me you were moved by her singing. More than moved, Kevin said. I've never heard anything like it. She has a gift. She gets that from her grandmother, Frank said with a smile. That woman could make angels cry with her voice. His expression became more serious. But Maya also gets her heart from her grandmother. She won't accept charity easily. This isn't charity, Kevin said. This is one human being helping another. Besides, I think Maya has more to offer the world than she knows. Frank raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? Kevin looked at Maya, then back at Frank. I work in entertainment. I've heard thousands of singers, but Maya's voice is special. It has a quality that reaches people on a deep level. The way she sang that song at the diner, it was like she was speaking directly to everyone's soul. She's always been able to do that, Frank said proudly. Even as a little girl, when she sang, people stopped what they were doing to listen. Maya felt embarrassed by the attention. Grandpa, tell Kevin about your work. He might find it interesting. Frank's eyes lit up. You want to hear about an old man's boring job? Maya said you worked for NASA, Kevin said. That doesn't sound boring to me. Frank laughed. Well, I suppose it had its moments. I worked on communication systems for space missions. My specialty was figuring out how to send messages across impossible distances. What kind of messages? Kevin asked. All kinds, Frank said. Data from instruments, pictures from space, even music sometimes. We sent recordings of Earth sounds on some of the deep space probes. Bach whale songs, children laughing. The idea was that if anyone ever found our spacecraft, they would know something about who we are. Kevin leaned forward. You mean like a message to aliens? Something like that, Frank said. Most people thought it was silly. But I always believed someone might be listening. The universe is too big for us to be alone. Maya had heard these stories many times, but she loved listening to her grandfather talk about his work. His face always became younger when he talked about the stars. Did you ever think about what we might say if we actually made contact? Kevin asked. Frank nodded. All the time. I spent years working on protocols for first contact. How do you communicate with a species that might think completely differently than we do? How do you show them that humans are worth knowing? Music, Maya said suddenly. Both men turned to look at her. You always said music was mathematics made beautiful, that it might be something any intelligent species could understand. Frank smiled at his granddaughter. That's right. Music combines emotion and logic in a way that's unique to conscious beings. It might be the one thing that could bridge the gap between completely different forms of life. Kevin stared at Frank with an expression Maya couldn't read. You really believe that? I do, Frank said firmly. In fact, I designed some of my communication systems around musical principles, harmonic frequencies, mathematical progressions based on musical scales. I always thought that if we ever received a message from space, it might come in the form of music. Kevin was quiet for a long moment. That's fascinating. I'd love to see some of your work sometime. I keep copies of everything at home, Frank said. Technical drawings, frequency charts, even some of the music we sent out on the space probes. Maya knows where I keep it all. Maybe after your surgery, Kevin said, you can show me. Frank reached out and shook Kevin's hand. I'd like that. And Kevin, thank you, not just for the money, but for seeing something special in my granddaughter. She's the most important thing in my world. Kevin squeezed Frank's hand. She's pretty important to me too, and I've only known her for a few days. As they left the hospital, Maya felt like her whole world had changed, not just because of Kevin's generosity, but because of the way he talked to her grandfather. Like Frank's work mattered, like the things he had spent his life thinking about were important. Maya had no idea how important those things would turn out to be. Frank's surgery went perfectly. The doctor said his heart was stronger than they had expected for a man his age. Within a week, he was back home and feeling better than he had in months. Maya sang at the diner that Friday night to celebrate, and Kevin came to listen just like he had promised. 3 weeks after the surgery, Maya was getting ready for her morning classes when her phone rang. The caller ID showed her grandfather's number. Grandpa? Maya answered. You're up early. Maya, you need to come over here right now, Frank said. His voice sounded excited and worried at the same time. What's wrong? Are you feeling okay? I'm fine, but something incredible has happened. Turn on the news. Any channel. Maya grabbed her television remote and turned on the morning news. The reporter was talking about something that made no sense to her. Scientists around the world are confirming that radio telescopes have detected an artificial signal from space. The signal appears to be coming from the direction of Proxima Centauri, our nearest neighboring star system. Maya sat down hard on her couch. Grandpa, are you watching this? I've been watching for 2 hours, Frank said. Maya, I need you to come over and call Kevin. Ask him to come too. Why Kevin? Just trust me. This is important. Maya hung up and immediately called Kevin. He answered on the first ring. Maya, I was just about to call you. Are you watching the news? Yeah. It's crazy. Grandpa wants us both to come over. He sounds really excited about something. I'll pick you up in 10 minutes, Kevin said. When they arrived at Frank's house, they found him sitting at his kitchen table surrounded by old papers and folders. His laptop was open, showing news websites from around the world. All of them had the same story about the signal from space. Sit down, both of you, Frank said. What I'm about to tell you is going to sound impossible. Maya and Kevin sat down across from Frank. Maya had never seen her grandfather look so serious. The signal they detected, Frank began. It's not random. It contains mathematical patterns that follow musical principles, harmonic progressions, frequency relationships that match musical scales. How do you know that? Kevin asked. Frank turned his laptop around so they could see the screen. It showed a graph with wavy lines and numbers that meant nothing to Maya. Because I designed the system they're using to analyze it, Frank said. 40 years ago, I wrote the computer programs that convert radio signals into mathematical patterns. The same programs are still being used today. Maya stared at her grandfather. You mean you can understand what the aliens are saying? Not exactly, Frank said. But I can see the structure of their message. And Maya, this is the incredible part. The mathematical patterns in their signal match the harmonic structure of the song you sang 3 weeks ago. What song? Maya asked. Hallelujah. The night you met Kevin? Kevin leaned forward. That's impossible. Frank pulled out a folder full of old papers. I spent my whole career preparing for this moment. I designed communication protocols based on the idea that music might be a universal language. I programmed computers to recognize mathematical patterns in radio signals that matched musical structures. He spread the papers across the table. Maya could see charts and graphs and equations that looked like the ones on his laptop screen. 3 weeks ago, someone at the diner made a video of Maya singing and posted it online. The video went viral. It was shared millions of times and broadcast on news stations around the world. Maya remembered that night. An older woman at one of the tables had been recording with her phone. Maya had not thought much about it. The signal from space arrived exactly 72 hours after that video was first broadcast, Frank continued. If the signal traveled at the speed of light from Proxima Centauri, it would take over 4 years to reach us. But if it came from somewhere much closer, how much closer? Kevin asked. Close enough that whoever sent it was already here, listening to our radio and television broadcasts, watching our internet, learning about us. Maya felt cold all over. You think aliens have been watching us? I think they've been deciding whether or not to make contact, Frank said. And Maya's song helped them make that decision. Frank's phone rang. He looked at the caller ID and his eyes widened. Dr. Lisa Park, he said. She runs the SETI program now. I haven't talked to her in 10 years. Frank answered the phone. Lisa? Yes, I've been watching the news. What? You're sure? I see. Yes, I still have all my old files. Of course I'll help. We'll be there in 2 hours. Frank hung up and looked at Maya and Kevin with an expression of amazement. They need me to come to the SETI Institute right away. The signal contains specific frequency patterns that match my old Project Beacon protocols. But there's something else. What? Maya asked. Dr. Park says the aliens have been sending multiple signals over the past few hours. Each one contains the same harmonic pattern as your version of Hallelujah, but with small variations, like they're trying to have a conversation. Kevin stood up. A conversation about what? About music, about mathematics, about whether humans are worth talking to. Frank started gathering his papers. Maya, I need you to come with me. Your voice might be the key to understanding what they're trying to say. My voice? Maya felt dizzy. Grandpa, I'm just a college student who sings in a diner. No, you're not, Frank said firmly. You're the human being whose voice reached across space and touched an alien intelligence. You're the reason they decided to talk to us. Kevin put his hand on Maya's shoulder. Are you okay with this? Maya looked at the news on Frank's laptop. Scientists from around the world were trying to figure out what the aliens wanted. Governments were holding emergency meetings. The whole world was waiting to see what would happen next. I'm scared, Maya said honestly. So am I, Frank said. But this is the most important moment in human history. And somehow, you're at the center of it. Maya took a deep breath. She thought about all the nights she had sung at Tony's diner, hoping to earn enough money to save her grandfather's life. She had never imagined that her voice might help save the world. Okay, she said. Let's go talk to some aliens. As they drove toward the SETI Institute, Maya watched the news on Kevin's phone. Reports were coming in from around the world. The aliens were sending more signals, and each one was more complex than the last. Scientists were working around the clock to decode the messages, but Maya had a feeling that understanding the aliens would require more than just science. It would require something that only humans possessed, something that her grandfather had spent his life trying to explain. To the stars, the ability to turn mathematics into music, and music into love. Maya looked out the car window at the sky and wondered if somewhere up there, someone was listening to her voice and trying to understand what it meant to be human. She was about to find out. The SETI Institute looked like a regular office building, but Maya could feel the excitement the moment they walked through the front door. Scientists and government officials hurried through the hallways carrying papers and laptops. Everyone seemed to be talking at once. Dr. Lisa Park met them in the lobby. She was a woman in her 50s with gray hair and tired eyes that lit up when she saw Frank. "Frank Johnson," she said, shaking his hand. "I never thought I'd see you again under circumstances like these. Lisa, this is my granddaughter Maya, and our friend Kevin Martinez," Frank said. Dr. Park shook their hands, but Maya noticed she looked at Kevin a little longer than necessary. Maya wondered if Dr. Park recognized him from movies, but no one said anything about it. "We need to get to the main lab," Dr. Park said. "The signals are getting stronger and more complex every hour." They followed Dr. Park down several hallways to a large room filled with computers and giant screens. About 20 people worked at different stations, all focused on the data streaming in from radio telescopes around the world. "Show them the latest signal," Dr. Park called to a young man at one of the computers. The man pressed some buttons and one of the big screens filled with a graph that looked like a mountain range made of lines and numbers. "This came in an hour ago," Dr. Park explained. "It's the most complex message yet, but look at this part." She pointed to a section of the graph where the lines formed a very specific pattern. "Frank, does this look familiar?" Frank studied the screen for a moment, then pulled out one of his old papers. He held it up next to the screen and Maya gasped. The patterns were almost identical. "It's based on the Fibonacci sequence," Frank said, "but modified to match musical harmonics. This is exactly what I predicted in Project Beacon." "What does it mean?" Kevin asked. "It means they understand our mathematics and our music," Dr. Park said. "But more than that, it means they want us to know they understand." A woman at another computer station called out, "Dr. Park, we're getting another signal. This one's different." Everyone gathered around the woman's screen. The new signal showed a pattern that looked simpler than the others, but somehow more urgent. "It's repeating," the woman said. "Same pattern over and over." Frank looked at the pattern and his face went pale. "Lisa, I need to hear this signal converted to audio." "Converted to audio?" "Trust me, my old programs can turn these mathematical patterns into sound waves. If I'm right about what this is." Dr. Park nodded to one of the technicians. Within minutes, they had Frank's old software running on one of the modern computers. The mathematical pattern from space was converted into sound and played through the lab's speakers. What came out sounded almost like music, but not quite. It was beautiful and strange at the same time. Maya felt something familiar about it, like a song she had heard in a dream. "Now play Maya's version of Hallelujah," Frank said. Kevin pulled out his phone. Someone at the diner had recorded Maya's performance and put it online. Kevin played the video, and Maya's voice filled the lab. As soon as Maya started singing, everyone in the room stopped what they were doing, but Maya was listening to something else. She could hear how her voice matched the alien signal. Not exactly, but close enough that she could understand what the aliens were trying to do. "They're trying to sing back to me," Maya said quietly. Dr. Park stared at her. "What did you say?" "They heard me sing, and now they're trying to sing the same song. But they don't know all the words, so they're using mathematics instead." Frank looked at his granddaughter with pride and amazement. "Maya, I think you're right. And I think they want you to sing back to them." "How?" "The same way you always do, from your heart." Dr. Park looked nervous. "Frank, we can't just have Maya sing into our radio telescopes without knowing what might happen. This is first contact with an alien species. There are protocols." "The protocols were written by people who never imagined this situation," Franco said. "Sometimes you have to trust your instincts." Kevin stepped forward. "What if we start small? Maya could sing just a few notes. See how they respond." Maya felt scared but also excited. Her whole life had been leading to this moment, even though she had never known it. "What should I sing?" she asked. Frank thought for a moment. "Start with something simple. Maybe just the opening notes of Hallelujah. The same ones that got their attention in the first place." Dr. Park set up a microphone connected to the Institute's main transmitter. Maya stood in front of it, feeling the weight of the entire world watching her. News crews had started gathering outside the building. Government Officials were on their way from Washington, but right now it was just Maya and her voice. She closed her eyes and sang the opening notes of Hallelujah, the same way she had at Tony's diner 3 weeks ago. Her voice was clear and pure, filled with the same love and hope that had moved Kevin that first night. Within minutes, the radio telescopes detected a response. The aliens sent back a signal that matched Maya's notes almost perfectly, but with small changes that made it sound even more beautiful. "They're harmonizing with you," Frank said with wonder in his voice. Maya sang a few more notes, and again the aliens responded with their own version. It was like having a musical conversation with someone she couldn't see but could somehow understand. "Dr. Park," one of the technicians called out, "we're getting signals from multiple sources now. It's not just Proxima Centauri anymore." "Doctor," Park looked at her screens in amazement. "How many sources?" "At least 12. Maybe more. They're all sending variations of the same harmonic pattern." Frank sat down heavily in a nearby chair. "It's not just one alien species. It's a whole community of them, and they've all been listening to us." Kevin looked at Maya with an expression of disbelief. "Your voice reached multiple alien civilizations?" "It looks that way," Dr. Park said. "But I think there's more to it than that." She pulled up another screen that showed a map of nearby star systems. Red dots marked the sources of the alien signals. "These aren't random locations," Dr. Park explained. "They form a network, like they're all connected somehow, like they've been waiting for a signal from Earth that would tell them we're ready to join them." Maya stared at the map. "Ready for what?" "That's what we need to find out," Frank said. "But Maya, I think you're going to be the one to ask them." Over the next several hours, Maya continued her musical conversation with the aliens. Each time, she sang, more voices joined in from across the galaxy. The harmonies became more complex and more beautiful. Maya began to understand that the aliens weren't just copying her music. They were adding their own parts to it, creating something new and wonderful. Dr. Park worked with her team to analyze every signal. What they discovered amazed everyone. "They call themselves the Resonance," Dr. Park announced after decoding one of the longer messages. "They're not just one species, but a collection of different alien civilizations that communicate through music and mathematics." "What do they want?" Kevin asked. Dr. Park looked at Maya. "They want to know if humanity is ready to join them, but first they want to test us." "Test us how?" Maya asked. Frank looked at the data streaming across the screens. "I think they want to see if we can work together as a species, if we can create something beautiful instead of destroying each other." Maya felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. She was no longer just a college student singing in a diner. She had become humanity's voice to the stars, and the stars were listening. The message from the Resonance came 3 days after Maya's first musical conversation with them. Dr. Park gathered everyone in the main lab to hear what the aliens had to say. The computer speakers crackled to life with the strange, beautiful music that had become familiar to everyone at the Institute. But this time the patterns were different, more complex. Almost like someone was trying to explain something very important. Frank worked at his computer, translating the musical patterns into words that humans could understand. Maya watched the text appear on his screen, line by line. "People of Earth," Frank read aloud. "We are the Resonance. We have watched your species for many cycles of your star. We have listened to your music, your voices, your hearts calling to the sky." Maya felt chills running down her arms. The aliens had been watching humanity for years, maybe decades. Frank continued reading. "We have seen beauty in your songs and love in your stories. But we have also seen war and hatred and the destruction of your own world. We offer you a choice." Dr. Park leaned forward. "What kind of choice?" The text kept appearing on Frank's screen. "We will share our knowledge with you, medicine that can heal any disease, energy that comes from the stars themselves, technology that will let you travel between worlds. But first you must prove that your species deserves these gifts." "How?" Maya asked quietly. Frank read the next part slowly. You must create something, together. All nations of your world must work as one to make a song that tells the story of humanity. Not just the good parts, but all of it. Your struggles, your growth, your hope for the future. Kevin, who had been quiet through most of the translation, finally spoke up. They want the entire human race to work together on one song? That's what it says, Frank replied. And Maya, they want you to lead this project. They call you the bridge voice, the one who can connect different peoples through music. Maya sat down hard in her chair. I can't do that. I'm nobody special. I just sing in a diner. Dr. Park put her hand on Maya's shoulder. Maya, you're the person who made first contact with an alien civilization. You're the most important person on Earth right now. The message continued, and Frank kept reading. You have one cycle of your moon to complete this task. If you succeed, we will welcome you into the community of worlds. If you fail, we will wait for your species to grow more before we contact you again. 1 month, Dr. Park said. They're giving us 1 month to get every country on Earth to work, together. Kevin shook his head. That's impossible. Some of these countries have been fighting each other for hundreds of years. Maybe, Frank said. But maybe that's exactly why the residents chose this test. They want to see if we can put aside our differences when something really important is at stake. Over the next week, Maya found herself at the center of the biggest diplomatic effort in human history. Presidents and prime ministers called her directly. The United Nations held special meetings about the alien message. News reporters followed her everywhere. Kevin used his connections in the entertainment industry to help organize the project. Famous musicians from around the world volunteered to participate. Record companies offered their studios for free. But the real challenge was getting world leaders to agree on anything. Maya attended video conferences with politicians who spoke dozens of different languages. She listened to arguments about which musical styles should be included and which countries should have the biggest parts in the song. Everyone wanted their culture to be represented, but no one wanted to compromise. After 2 weeks of meetings, Maya was exhausted and discouraged. She sat in her grandfather's kitchen, staring at a pile of messages from world leaders who couldn't agree on anything. I don't think this is going to work, Grandpa, Maya said. Everyone wants to be part of the song, but nobody wants to listen to anyone else. Frank poured her a cup of tea and sat down across from her. What do you think the resonance really wants to hear? I don't know. Something beautiful, I guess. But what makes music beautiful, Maya? Maya thought about all the songs she had learned over the years. When all the different parts work together to create something bigger than any one part could make alone. Exactly, Frank said. And right now all these world leaders are thinking like individual musicians who want to play solo. But you need to help them think like members of an orchestra. Kevin, who had been listening from the living room, came into the kitchen. What if we approach this differently? Instead of trying to get governments to agree, what if we go directly to the people? What do you mean? Maya asked. Social media, the internet. The same way your original song reached the aliens. We put out a call for people all over the world to send us their voices singing the same simple melody. Then we combine all those voices into one massive chorus. Frank's eyes lit up. A global choir, people from every country, every culture, all singing the same song but in their own way. Maya felt hope returning. But what song? It has to be something everyone can sing in any language. Kevin smiled. I think you already know the answer to that. Maya realized he was right. There was only one song that had started this whole amazing journey. Hallelujah. It's perfect, Frank said. The melody is simple enough for anyone to learn, but beautiful enough to touch people's hearts. And the word hallelujah is understood in almost every language on Earth. Maya spent the next week traveling around the world with Kevin. They visited recording studios in London, Tokyo, Mumbai, São Paulo, and dozens of other cities. Everywhere they went, people lined up to add their voices to the global song. Maya was amazed by what she heard. Children's choirs from Kenya sang the melody with joy that made her cry. Opera singers from Italy added harmonies that soared like birds. Folk musicians from Ireland played instruments that had been in their families for generations. But the most moving moment came when Maya visited a refugee camp on the border between two countries that had been at war for 20 years. The refugees had nothing except hope, but when Maya taught them the melody, they sang with voices that seemed to carry all the pain and beauty of the human experience. "This is what the aliens need to hear," Maya told Kevin as they listened to the refugees sing. "Not just our music, but our hearts." As the deadline approached, Maya worked with sound engineers to combine thousands of recordings into one massive song. The different voices layered on top of each other like instruments in the world's largest orchestra. Every culture was represented, but somehow they all blended together into something that sounded completely unified. The night before they were supposed to transmit the song to the resonance, Maya couldn't sleep. She walked outside and looked up at the stars, knowing that somewhere out there alien beings were waiting to hear what humanity had created. Frank found her in the backyard. "Nervous?" "Terrified," Maya admitted. "What if it's not good enough? What if we failed the test?" Frank put his arm around his granddaughter. "Maya, do you remember why you started singing at Tony's Diner? To save your life. And do you remember what I told you about why I spent my career trying to talk to the stars?" Maya smiled. "Because you believe someone might be listening." "That's right. And tomorrow, when we send our song into space, we're going to prove that humans are worth listening to. Not because we're perfect, but because we can choose love over fear, cooperation over conflict, beauty over destruction." Maya looked up at the stars one more time. Tomorrow, the whole world would find out if humanity was ready to join the galactic community. But tonight, she was just a granddaughter standing in a backyard with the man who had taught her that the most important things in life weren't money or fame, but love and hope and the courage to keep singing even when the future was uncertain. Whatever happened tomorrow, Maya knew they had given the aliens the truest representation of humanity they could. A song that contained all of their flaws and all of their beauty, sung by voices from every corner of the earth. Now they just had to wait for the universe to sing back. The day humanity would sing to the stars dawned clear and bright. Maya stood in the main control room at the SETI Institute, surrounded by screens showing people gathered in public squares, concert halls, and open fields all around the world. Millions of people had come together to sing at the exact same moment. Dr. Park checked her equipment one final time. "Maya, are you ready?" Maya looked at the microphone that would carry her voice to the stars. In her hand, she held a simple piece of paper with the words to Hallelujah, written in her grandfather's handwriting. Frank sat nearby, monitoring the computers that would blend all the voices from around the world into one beautiful song. Kevin stood beside Maya, holding her other hand. Over the past month, he had become more than just a friend. He had become the person who believed in her when she couldn't believe in herself. "Remember," Frank said softly, "this isn't just about singing a song. This is about showing the universe who we are as a species." Maya nodded and stepped up to the microphone. On the screens around her, she could see people in every time zone preparing to sing. Children in school uniforms in Japan, families gathered in parks in Brazil, soldiers taking a break from their duties in peaceful countries around the world. Dr. Park began the countdown. "Broadcasting to all stations worldwide in 10, 9, 8. Maya took a deep breath and thought about the night at Tony's Diner when this all began. She had been singing for money to save her grandfather's life. Now she was singing to save the future of her entire species. 3, 2, 1. Go. Maya began to sing. Her voice started soft and clear, just like that first night. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. As her voice went out, over the radio waves, something magical happened. People all around the world began to sing with her. Maya could hear their voices through the speakers in the control room, as Frank's computers combined the signals from every continent. The song started simple, with just Maya's voice and a few hundred people in major cities. But within minutes, millions of voices joined in. Each person sang in their own language, their own style, but somehow it all fit together perfectly. Maya heard children singing in Chinese, their voices bright and full of wonder. She heard tribal singers from Africa adding rhythms that made her heart beat faster. Opera singers from Europe soared above the melody with harmonies that seemed to touch the sky. As the song grew, Maya realized something incredible was happening. The people weren't just singing the words she had taught them. They were adding their own stories to the music, their hopes, their fears, their dreams for the future. The song was becoming a living portrait of humanity. Frank watched his computers with amazement. Maya, look at this. The harmonic patterns are more complex than anything I've ever seen. It's like the whole human race is creating a new form of music. Maya kept singing, but now her voice was just one small part of a chorus that included every person on Earth who wanted to be heard. She sang for the refugees who had taught her about hope. She sang for the children who still believed in magic. She sang for her grandfather, who had spent his life dreaming of this moment. The song lasted exactly 12 minutes, just like Maya and Frank had planned. When the last note faded away, the control room was completely silent. Everyone stared at the radio equipment, waiting to see if the resonance would respond. For 5 minutes, nothing happened. Maya began to worry that their song had not been good enough. Maybe the aliens had expected something more professional, more perfect. Then the speakers crackled to life. What came through was the most beautiful sound Maya had ever heard. It was humanity's song, but transformed. The resonance had taken every voice, every harmony, every rhythm, and woven them together with alien melodies that made the music sound like it came from the stars themselves. Frank's computers worked frantically to translate the mathematical patterns into words. Text began appearing on his screen faster than Maya had ever seen. "People of Earth," Frank read aloud, his voice shaking with emotion. "Your song has reached across the emptiness between worlds and filled our hearts with wonder." Dr. Park wiped tears from her eyes as Frank continued reading. "We have listened to many species sing their first songs to the universe. Most sing only of their own greatness. You have sung of your struggles, your failures, your hope to become better than you are." Maya felt tears running down her own cheeks. "What does that mean? Did we pass their test?" Frank kept reading as the text appeared. "Your species has shown us something we had not seen before. The ability to create beauty from pain, unity from division, hope from despair. You have earned your place among the stars." The control room erupted in cheers. People hugged each other and cried and laughed. At the same time, on the screens showing gatherings around the world, Maya could see millions of people celebrating. But the message from the resonance was not finished. "We offer you our knowledge freely," Frank read. "Medicine to heal your sick, technology to clean your air and water, energy that will never run out. But most important, we offer you friendship across the vast distances of space." Dr. Park could barely speak. "They're going to share everything with us. Everything." The message continued. "We have chosen Maya Johnson as our first ambassador to your world. She will learn our ways and teach them to your people. Through her voice, our two peoples will learn to sing together." Maya stared at the screen in shock. "Ambassador?" Frank smiled at his granddaughter. "It means you're going to be the person who helps humans and aliens become friends." Kevin squeezed Maya's hand. "Are you ready for that?" Maya thought about all the changes in her life over the past month. She had gone from singing in a diner to speaking for all of humanity. It seemed impossible, but then again, so had everything else that had happened. "I guess I have to be ready," Maya said. "This is too important to be scared." Over the next few hours, more messages came from the resonance. They explained that they would send teachers to Earth to share their knowledge. They would help humans build ships that could travel between stars. Most importantly, they would welcome Earth into a community of hundreds of worlds where different species work together to create beauty and peace. Frank lived to see the first alien ships arrive in Earth's orbit 6 months later. They were beautiful vessels that looked like they were made of light and music. The aliens themselves were different from anything humans had imagined, but when they communicated through the musical language Maya had helped create, They felt like old friends. Maya became Earth's first ambassador to the galactic community. She learned to speak with dozens of different alien species, always using music as the bridge between different ways of thinking. Her voice became known throughout the galaxy as the sound of hope and friendship. Kevin produced a documentary about the whole experience called The Song That Saved the World. It was watched by billions of humans and became the first Earth movie to be translated into alien languages. Children throughout the galaxy learned about the planet where people could create beauty even in the darkest times. But Maya never forgot where it all started. Every Friday night she returned to Tony's diner to sing for whoever wanted to listen. Now, instead of singing for money, she sang for the joy of sharing music with friends. Sometimes alien visitors came to listen, curious about the small restaurant where humanity's greatest adventure had begun. Frank always sat in his favorite booth, listening to his granddaughter sing the songs that had changed the universe. He had spent his whole life trying to talk to the stars. He never imagined that the stars would talk back through the voice of a young woman who sang with all the love in her heart. The universe was a bigger, more wonderful place than anyone had dreamed. And it all started with a simple song about hope, sung by a girl who needed money for her grandfather's surgery, and ended up giving the galaxy something far more valuable. She gave them the music of the human soul.